In Vietnam, the deadliest thing I ever faced wasn't a bullet. It was the ground itself, and the worst traps out there wasn't even built to kill you. That's the part that should scare you. This my year in that jungle, and how I walked out of it. 1968, I'm 19. The government sends me a letter that starts with one word, greetings. The draft was a lottery, real one. They pulled birthdays out of glass jar on live TV. Mine came up early. 8 weeks of boot camp, and they called me a soldier. Average age out there? 19. They sent kids. We flew to the war on a regular airliner, flight attendants and all, 20 hours to a war zone. Doors opened in Da Nang and the heat hit me in the chest, like stepping into a furnace. Whole country smelled like jet fuel, mud, and smoke. Something was always burning. The vets called me a FNG. I won't translate it. The F means exactly what you think. They loaded me up, rifle, ammo, water, rations, 80 pounds on my back, 100 degrees, every day. They gave us the new M16, and them early ones jammed when it mattered most. Army said it was self-cleaning. It wasn't. Men wrote home begging for cleaning kits. Dinner came out of can. The worst was ham and lima beans. Soldiers hated it so much, they renamed it something I can't say here. Most valuable thing a man owned out there was a tiny can opener called the P38. It stayed on the dog tags. You lose that, you got real problems. First patrol, out the wire, into the boonies. That's where the jungle starts testing you. First man in line is the point man. Most dangerous job in the platoon. They gave it to the new guy, me. 20 minutes in, I froze. The leaves on the trail ahead was too perfect, too clean, wrong. Under them, a punji pit, a hole full of sharpened bamboo stakes, points up, waiting on a boot. Peep the dark genius. The stakes was filthy on purpose. The wound gets infected. That trap wasn't made to kill you, it was made to break you. Why? Cold math. A dead soldier stops one man, a wounded one stops three, 'cause two gotta carry him out. One hole in the ground freezes a whole patrol. The army answered with jungle boots, steel plate hid in the sole. That's how real the stakes was. They armored our feet. The pits was just the open and move. The bamboo whip was a bent tree loaded with spikes on a tripwire. Touch the wire, the jungle swings first. Then the grenade in a can, pin pulled. Grenade in a tin can nailed to a tree. Wire across the trail. The can holds the lever down till you walk through it. After that, every vine and every root on that trail looked like a wire, 'cause any of them could be. So we quit walking trails, period. We cut through raw jungle. 1 kilometer took 4 hours. That's the price of staying alive. Some traps was alive, venomous vipers, tied up inside tunnels. They called one the two-step snake, said that's how far you get. The legend was exaggerated, the snake's wasn't. From above came the swinging mace, spiked ball of hardened mud on a rope, hit the wire, and it drops right through where your head was. The coldest one was near invisible, a single rifle round buried under a board. Step on it, it fires straight up through your foot. Then the mine, the bouncing Betty, jumped waist high before it went off. Whoever gave it that friendly name was sick for that. The small ones was called toe poppers. Out there you learned to read dirt like scripture, or you paid for it. The other side moved in sandals cut from truck tires, cheap, indestructible. Some wore them backwards so the footprints pointed the wrong way. Think about that. Then monsoon season came. It don't rain for hours out there. It rains for months. The water brought leeches everywhere. After week 1, you stop reacting. You just pull them off and keep moving. Wet boots for weeks gave you jungle rot. Out there, your feet mattered more than your rifle. That's not a joke. That's doctrine. Here's what nobody tells you. Disease put more soldiers in hospital beds than combat did. Malaria was taking out whole platoons quiet. The fix was 1 giant orange pill a week. The side effects? Let's just say pill day. Nobody strayed far from the latrine. For a while, I carried the radio, 25 pounds, and that tall antenna told every sniper in the tree line who to drop first. Radio man and the officer next to him, target 1 and target 2. Vietnam was the first helicopter war, no marching to the fight. The Huey dropped you straight into it, hot. 2 weeks they had me as a door gunner, best view in the war, worst seat in it. But them birds saved thousands. Wounded man could be on a surgeon's table inside an hour. First war in history where making it to the chopper meant you probably lived. Best moment of any week was mail call. Letters took weeks to reach us. Didn't matter. We read them till the paper gave out. Beer ration was 2 cans, warm as bathwater. We drank them slow, like it was the finest thing ever made. Out there, it was. Every man had a Zippo with something engraved on it. Mine said, "I'm not lost. The map is wrong." The soundtrack came off Lil Transistor radios. And yeah, a real DJ really did scream "Good Morning Vietnam" at dawn. The movie took that from a real man. We called the enemy Charlie. Radio code, Viet Cong, VC, Victor Charlie. Soldiers cut it down to Charlie, and it stuck for good. Nights was the worst part. Sitting in a hole staring into black jungle, flares up, eye pressed to an early night scope called the Starlight. Then we found out where Charlie really lived, under our feet. The Coochie tunnels, 200 plus kilometers, dug by hand. And it wasn't hideouts. It was a city, hospitals, kitchens, workshops, theaters, all underground. Kitchen smoke ran through channels so long, it surfaced miles off looking like morning mist. That's discipline. Lieutenant asked for a volunteer to go down, and the whole platoon turned their heads, slow, to the smallest man they had. Welcome to the worst job in the war. Tunnel rat, no helmet, no rifle, too big, a pistol, a flashlight, and a knife. That's the whole kit. Tunnel rats had a Latin motto, rough translation, not worth a rat's behind. Nobody argued with it. The entrances was trap doors, barely wider than your shoulders, dug small on purpose, so we couldn't follow. Inside is pitch black, furnace hot, tight enough that you move on your elbows, and you never know if you alone. And them tunnels was engineered. They dipped underwater in U-bends, same as the pipe under your sink, so gas couldn't pass through. They beat chemistry with shovels. The tunnels had their own traps too, stakes under blind drops, grenades wired to trap doors. Down there, the dark does the hiding for 'em. Some tied vipers to the tunnel ceilings, right at face level. Some left crates of scorpions on tripwires. Every word of that is real. Then I crawled into something I couldn't believe. A full room, rice, medical supplies, oil lamps. People was living under a bombing campaign for years. Then footsteps. Somebody passed in a cross tunnel, few meters off. I killed the light and turned to stone. Didn't breathe till he was gone. 20 minutes later, I came up and put my hand on the dirt. Same dirt that been hunting me all year, but I was still on top of it. That counted for something. Here's the coldest fact of all. We hit them tunnels with B-52s. They held, and some entrances was decoys, dug for no reason but to waste our time. Chess, not checkers. Back at base, every man customized his helmet. Peace signs, day counts, hometown names. Command hated it. Nobody stopped. Our own trap game, the Claymore, and 'cause somebody, somewhere got it wrong once, the factory prints it right on the front toward enemy. Nights, we ring the wire with trip flares. Anything that touched it turned the jungle into daylight. Usually it was some animal. Your heart don't know that till after. When it got heavy, we called in Puff the Magic Dragon, a gunship stacked with miniguns. The tracers came down like a solid red beam out the sky. You don't forget seeing that. Bunker life came with roommates, rats. Big enough that we gave them ranks. Half joking, only half. The water was cut with iodine tablets and tasted like a swimming pool. The fix was Kool-Aid. Men had their families shipping it by the kilo. We cooked with plastic explosive. Pinch of C4 burns hot and clean, heats a ration in a minute. Safe too, long as you never stomp it out, never. The luxury item was LRRP rations, freeze-dried, made for recon. Food that didn't taste like a punishment, men traded anything for them. Then, January 68, Tet, the Vietnamese New Year, supposed to be a ceasefire. That night we heard fireworks. Them wasn't fireworks. The Tet offensive hit over 100 cities and bases at once. The whole war showed up everywhere, the same night. They breached the U.S. Embassy in Saigon, most protected building in the country. That night, nothing was off limits. And here's what made Tet different. Cameras. First television war in history. Families back home watched real combat over dinner, in color. When the most trusted anchor in America said on air the war couldn't be won, the president said, "If I've lost Cronkite, I've lost the country." On the ground, Tet broke the attackers. They lost, bad. But on the screen won the argument, and the screen don't retreat. So how did Charlie stay supplied through all of it? A jungle highway we could not kill, the Ho Chi Minh Trail. The workhorse of that trail was a bicycle, reinforced frame, 200 plus kilos strapped on, pushed on foot for hundreds of kilometers. That's a different kind of soldier. Trucks ran that trail at night, headlights off, guided by white markers and nerve. We bombed that trail harder than almost any ground on earth. Crews repaired it overnight. Every time, it never closed, not one day. Wildlife report, water buffalo was calm around locals, but they could smell we wasn't from there. And they charged. I got ran across a whole rice paddy that buffalo had a problem with me personally. The other side moved artillery on elephants, through mountains no truck could touch, elephants. And soldiers all over the country swore they crossed paths with rock apes, creatures in the tree line that threw rocks back at patrols. To this day, no answer on what them things was. The real ones out there was the scout dogs, 4,000 served. They caught the scent of ambushes and wires long before we could. Thousands of men came home because of them dogs. Our platoon kept a monkey, stole rations, screamed at officers, kept 40 grown men sane, carried his weight. Some days, angels landed, the donut dollies, Red Cross volunteers flying base to base with coffee and donuts. For 1 hour, the war backed off. Then the psychological warfare. Some units left the ace of spades on the field as a death card. Card companies shipped whole crates of decks, nothing in them but aces of spades. Some of it wasn't for jokes. Planes sprayed a chemical called Agent Orange to strip the jungle bare. Years later, the world learned what it did to everybody underneath it, both sides. Halfway through the tour, every man got one ticket, R&R. A week of vacation from a war, then right back in. 6 days later, I'm in Hawaii in a flower shirt holding a drink with an umbrella in it, sitting like I'm still on watch, because part of me was. The whiplash was violent. Monday, a beach. Wednesday, back in the mud, reading leaves for spike pits. But something had changed. New guys was coming in, and they watched me the way I used to watch the vets. I was the OG now, so I passed down what the jungle beat into me. Perfect leaves is a lie. Shortcuts is a trap. The trail is never your friend. Seasons ran together. Monsoon, dust, monsoon. Out there, you don't count months, you count days. The tour was exactly 365. Every man kept a short timer calendar and filled in one square every morning, like a ritual, cause it was one. The shorter your time, the heavier your superstitions. Lucky charms, lucky socks. Nobody laughed at nobodies. Everybody had one. Under 100 days, you was a 2-digit midget. Under 10, you don't volunteer, you don't wander, you don't touch nothing. Short timers got jumpy and every man understood. The war got a cold sense of humor and everybody feared the same ending, getting hit with days left on the clock. I was down to 8 days. 8, I'd walk past pits, snakes, tunnels, monsoons, and one buffalo that wanted my whole career ended. Then the lieutenant steps in with a clipboard, scans the tent, and calls my name. 1, last, patrol. So there I was, 8 days on the clock, walking back into the jungle that spent a year trying to eat me. And I did something the old me would call insane. I took the lead, because by then, nobody read that ground better than me, nobody. 2 hours in, the new kid behind me leans toward a shortcut between 2 trees, and I catch it. One thin wire, catching light. Grenade in a can, the same trap I learned in my first month. We marked it and backed off, and I watched that kid understand, right there, that the jungle got rules, he just got rule 1 for free. A year back, somebody caught one for me, now it was my turn. That's the only way anybody survived that place. Knowledge, handed down, man to man. Patrol came home without a scratch. My last walk in that jungle was done. Next morning, I filled in the last square. 365 out of 365, every single day, survived. I left my lucky sock with the new kid. He took it like I handed him something sacred. Out there, I had. Then the plane home, the Freedom Bird. Stepping on it felt like stepping out of one life into another. And this is documented. The second them wheels left Vietnamese soil, the whole plane erupted. Grown men, hardened men, screaming like kids. We earned that. 36 hours later, I was home. No parade, no crowd. The war wasn't popular, and they told us quiet, change into civilian clothes. So I did. 2 days before, I was reading leaves for spike pits. Now I'm in my childhood bedroom listening to the loudest sound I ever heard. Silence. The war rolled on without me. The troops came home in 73, 2 years after. Saigon fell, almost 20 years. Millions gone on all sides. And peep the ending nobody called, them Ku Chai tunnels that haunted me. Today, a tourist attraction. They had to widen them. Visitors couldn't fit the originals. Old bomb craters turned into fish ponds. The 2 countries made peace. Veterans like me go back now, as guests. The land kept scars, though. Crews are still out there pulling unexploded bombs from that ground. Today, the war ended, the cleanup didn't. People ask what got me through. It wasn't muscle, it wasn't being brave, it was patience, respect for the ground, and never trusting perfect leaves. I still got the calendar, all 365, and somewhere out there is a water buffalo whose grandkids grew up on stories about me, my oldest enemy. 19 years old, 365 days. One jungle that taught me more about staying alive than everything before or since combined. That was my year in the jungle and I walked out of it. So you already know the stories don't stop here. Hit subscribe and tap one of these right here. Pick your next one. I survived them all.